Good morning, everybody. Tara here with the Wifey Wake Up podcast, and I am extra excited for today's podcast. I'll tell you, this one just came pouring out of me and into me, and I'm so excited to talk about this. And today's topic is why women need cowboys, the strong, romantic men we crave in today's world. And I'll tell you, for I think most women out there, this is really the truth. And so let's get into it. I love it when movies or series come around like Yellowstone. I think it was widely popular, right? The Yellowstone series with Kevin Costner. And I think it revives in us, especially us Americans, just kind of that American spirit. And I was fascinated to find out actually that the cowboy originated from the Spanish culture, but nonetheless, we certainly Americanized it in our own way and is absolutely a part of our culture. And so I want to specify that when I say we need cowboys, as it says in the title, I'm talking about women. We really need good cowboys in our life. And it doesn't matter. You don't need to be wearing the gear. It is more about the character. And that's what I'm going to be getting into today. So just a flashback here. When I was a kid, my dad would sit me down in front of the TV. I think it was Saturday afternoons that they had the old Westerns on, but I was so young that you only know that it's a weekend. You actually don't really know what day it is. And he would sit me down and he'd say, "Here, watch this. You're going to like this." And I don't know if I really originally did like them or if it was just his suggestion that actually cued me into all the goings on in the movies. And I did grow to like them. And I later learned that he knew about all these movies and he himself really liked them because he had worked in a theater growing up. And he was the one who tended to the projector back when they had reels and you had to change them or fix them. And so he got to see a lot of those movies. But looking back, it was probably something, that parents do. They share the things that they like with their kids, and then you kind of have that memory together. But I'm pretty sure he was just trying to get me out of his hair. But nonetheless, I grew up with those memories and some kind of familiarity with what Western culture was and the cowboy scene. And I think a lot of us do in some way or another have that. And when a series comes out like Yellowstone, I think it really rekindles in us what that means to us. And so when I say cowboy, I mean some kind of combination of the following characteristics, which I'm sure a combination of these are memories of old movies, for me at least, the Yellowstone series. And that would be a man who's strong, athletic, and rugged, independent, but yet obviously needs to be able to work as a team member. He's very caring and concerned about animals, obviously. I mean, even though they're literally being led to slaughter, they have to take care of them, and particular, of course, of their horses or dogs that are helping them in the herding, but also the wildlife and the land, knowing that everything comes together to help support each other in that environment. He appreciates the wild, the freedom, and God who's somewhere in the stars, hardworking, romantic, or brutish. I mean, he can be brutish, but let's go for the romantic type for now, right? And he dreams and longs for his home and his woman while he's away, right? He has respect for the wild nature, but knows how to wrangle it in. So probably many of you have seen the Yellowstone series, so I'm going to refer to that. And let's take the characters Beth Dutton and Rip Wheeler in Yellowstone. And I just want to clarify, I'm not saying that Beth in this series is by any means an example of wifey material, but what I'm pointing to is more the dynamic. And that, of course, when you have a wild woman like that, it takes a special man to be able to wrangle her in, right? And I think since it's a more recent example that more of us know about, or you can refer to the series if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I think these things resonate to us when a movie does well, when a series does well, it's because it resonates with certain archetypes, certain stories that we all can relate to. And I think there's something about the Rip character that resonates with us all. And for those of you who don't know, in the series, the characters, Beth is the daughter of the ranch owner John Dutton, who they run a multi-generational ranch. And Rip is kind of in a way the adopted son. He was basically orphaned and learned the trade. First was a cowboy, and then much later in life became the ranch manager, and all due to Beth's father, John Dutton. And so there was kind of a on again, off again relationship between Beth and Rip over the years. And of course, that's complicated by Rip's position in the family, more or less, but also in the family business. And of course, with his indebtedness to John Dutton, her father, and the ranch owner. And so, of course, that's very complicated. But of course, that makes for a great drama, right? So Rip, well, let's go back to Beth. Beth is the female wild Mustang. She is, in a way, the quintessential boss babe. No one can really handle her. She has good intentions in some ways, but she's a no holds bar kind of person. And that means literally, physically, and like any good drama series, right? There's a character that will just do anything that it takes. And sometimes it's out of sheer evil in a way, but you can also you can understand in her reasoning, because she's protecting the family ranch. She's protecting the family itself, the lineage, and there's so much supporting it. And really, in a way, a number of people that I've talked to, you kind of love hate her, because you're like, I wish I could do that and be that way. And also you're like, oh, would not want to, or you kind of have flashes of people that have some of those characteristics, and you're like, yeah, that's not a great person to have in your life, depends on which side of your life she's on or what mood she's in. But my point for this is why women need cowboys. This is just a great scenario where you see this love relationship between Beth and Rip throughout the series. And I don't think there's too much spoiler here, but Rip, on the other hand, of course, is like they're the quintessential couple, right? Where opposites attract. And Rip is really this kind of cool-mannered guy that, you can tell by the way that he handles the other cowboys, the wranglers, and so forth. He's dealt with a lot, and there really isn't any problem too big for him. And if something is at this level, he responds at just the right level to take care of the situation. He doesn't go too far, and that's a really wonderful match for Beth, who just goes, to level 10 all the time. And I want to refer back to some of my notes, because their dynamic is so interesting, right? Okay. So he loves the wild, free-spirited, and passionate Beth, but their love has been on and off again, like I said, since they were teenagers. And Rip basically patiently waits. He's kind of in a pickle where, Beth finally has to be ready to settle down. There's an interesting couple of episodes where they go through how they get married. So I guess that's a spoiler alert, and how that happens specifically. But what I really want to point out is that Rip has the characteristics of what most women want. They want someone who is very strong, but only really when necessary. Right? He goes to the level that is needed as long as it's needed, and no further, right? He's someone who is deeply loving and passionate. You can see that also. He's deeply, deeply committed to his role, to the family, and the whole scenario. But going back, loving and passionate, but he doesn't let it overcome him, right? So he's just enough. He's someone who can love and even appreciate Beth's wild nature, yet he knows how to wrangle her in. And he knows how to wrangle her in just enough so that she knows she's loved, but also can let her be free enough to be herself. He knows how to protect the family, their livelihood, and sometimes it even means protecting the family and livelihood from her. She can go too far even with the intention of protecting the family for their own good. I vaguely remember a scene, for example, this will seem nuanced, but there, of course, the ranch hands have their own bunk house, basically. So they all live in this bunkhouse. And it's really for the ranch hands, right? The Cowboys. And of course, even the manager, even Rip, is living there for a very long time. And Beth comes in. I don't remember the reason why or what the scene was, but Rip is basically like, no, you have to leave. He could see that she was causing disorder within the men there. And there was a time where there was a woman cowboy wrangler as well. But he saw that even though the ranch was technically hers, he was the manager. He had to manage the environment, the people, and so forth. And that she was not helping the situation. And I actually don't remember if he successfully removed her. But she was that kind of person in the series. So that's what I mean by, there are times where he really did have to put his foot down and basically say, you're no longer helping the situation. It wasn't too many situations. Again, she is not the exemplary person of wifey material in this example. So mind you, that's not what I'm condoning. It's really Rip's way of handling her. Okay, so he has experience. You can see this, and I think this is very attractive to a woman about a man. He has standards, and particularly with those around him. Of course, on the ranch, there's only a certain amount of rowdiness, but he knows that there's that fine line of chaos and order. He has boundaries. He knows how to handle difficult situations, and he is swift with authority. And I think was really notable too, and this is very attractive to women, is he has respect of those under his authority. And that includes her. So when he has that respect, when he has many people looking up to him, she's more able to see that and look up to him as well. Okay, so many characteristics here. He knows how to bring in the herd, right? Just kind of speaking and taking care of business, train the young horses, manage the crew, pray for a safe journey, leave his home to get the job done. He's speaking to God and his love to the stars at night. He's very romantic in that way and dedicated. And he fulfills his dreams and longings when he returns, and knows how to direct when he gets home, knows how to direct that wild Mustang mare even more when he gets home and they reunite. So that's all to say that we need cowboys again. We need someone who can wrangle in that free spirit. I do think, there's a word that is sassy, right? That I think women really, I think the term is cotton on, right? They kind of grab onto that when someone's like, oh, you're sassy. There is something in you that is like, oh yeah, I am. But it is kind of that wild mare Mustang that likes to be wild. But I think there's a part of us that needs to have that and desires to have that wrangling in, knowing that the one who is able to do that deserves the respect. And at the same time, ladies, I would say the idea is not to continually test that, to not continually push that, but to recognize that he can and that he does, and to appreciate those qualities in him and about him. And it's not about continually pushing those boundaries, but actually the wild Mustang eventually gives in. They see the respect, they gain the respect for the one who is who is trying to tame them, and they can grow together. So for those of you ladies out there who are desiring your cowboy, doesn't matter, if he's wearing the hat, the boots, any of that. It's about character, right? You want someone that can be that one who will watch the stars with you, who can be romantic with you, who is longing for you when he's out on the road, and is not ashamed to passionately reunite with you when he arrives home. And also to be simultaneously, to the perfect level, strong and loving, who knows how to and how much authority to use in any situation. And so how many out there does that really appeal to you? I know for me, it is very attractive. And I think that's why we have these movies, we have these characters, we have these archetypes. I think even in strip clubs, which I'm not a promoter of, but that's why you have these characters, that they'll actually have, the quintessential man, wearing the chaps, right? And the cowboy hat, and has a lasso, right? It's because there's some kind of archetype that women are going after. And it's not the outer appearance. It's what's inside. It's that character. So for a little bit more on this, I'd like to encourage you to listen to these songs. I'm going to put these in the show notes as well. These will strike you even deeper. This will hit this point even more and hit it home. So one is Cowboy, Take Me Away by the Chicks. We have Cowboys and Angels by Dustin Lynch. And we have Cowboys Cry Too by Kelsey Ballerini and Noah Kahan. And I have a few other things to share with you. So for those of you who haven't seen Yellowstone, here are a few images. And you see Beth and Rip here. I should have showed these earlier. That would have been much more appropriate. This is a great scene. They're both just relaxing here. That's the ranch main house in the distance. And, he's totally cool and okay. They're far enough away from the ranch where, he can be away from his duties. And then here, they're at the ranch and, they're the kind of quintessential couple in a sense in that way. Something else that I would like to point out that didn't quite fit into my notes here for today's podcast was also, since we're at the end here, if this resonates with you, something really interesting to also look into, I'm going to play this while I'm talking, is dancing. And this is just a really great one. Been seen, millions and millions of times. And something to point out about dancing, it looks like they're absolutely flowing, doesn't it? It's just, they're just flowing to the music. And let's see, I should make the screen bigger, play this bigger. Listen to it with music. I don't want to get this canceled by YouTube. Oh, did it just go off? There we go. And that's not liking me being on full screen. So it looks like they're absolutely flowing, right? But in any amazing ballroom dance, and this is technically ballroom dance, the guy holds a frame. He's creating that space. And, in so much ballroom dance, this guy does quite some amazing things, but you see how it's the woman who's doing all the fancy stuff. It's like, she's the one that they're showing off. But it's only because, even though their arms are very flowy and they are connected, there's actually a lot of strength there. There are a lot of cues just in the fingertips where they're holding, and right there in their arms too. It looks so easy, like he's just spinning her around, but there's actually frame and strength that he's providing by that, and guidance. It helps keep them in the same space, on the same beat, so many things. And so what I'm trying to point out is that, he did a little spin there, but it's mostly the woman, right? But she can do those things because he is keeping that frame and space, keeping the tempo. And again, it just looks so dainty what their arms and hands are doing, but there's actually quite a bit of strength and a lot of signals coming through, and is such a great example of what you need to have and be in a relationship. And then, occasionally he can show off as well. You can see where his talent truly lies in some of those show off moments, but she can be so amazing because he is so strong in frame like that. And so I'm going to put this in the notes as well. It's really a beautiful and fun, very fun performance. And it's just a great example of what is needed. That is the rip in the situation, right? The more she's twirling, the more she's doing, the more stable and sturdy that he needs to be, and their communication needs to be on as well. So a bit of a tangent, but since we're kind of on the Western theme, and that was a honky-tonk theme in that dance, I thought it would be fun to add in as well. And, women out there, let us know who's looking for that cowboy, and chime in, at least comment in the chat. I love hearing from you. So please subscribe, comment, and let me know if you found your cowboy. Is it about the attire? It's about the character, isn't it? It's someone that you can count on. And he's strong and romantic and loving and can really hold that frame and hold that space. All right. I'm surprised I did this in under 30 minutes today. I thought I had so much to share, but I would love to hear from you. Make sure to subscribe, share this with a friend that you think would enjoy this, and I'll put links to that video below, and I have a few more notes on this as well. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.